What's up, Shani?
Hi.
You are a licensed therapist in the state of Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Work.
Yes. I am a licensed professional clinical counselor in Minnesota. Yeah.
That's LPCSC.
Yes.
Work.
LPCC.
Is there like another one that's above that?
That's the highest one. So that's the one that allows you to practice independently. There's one below that, but there's no point in really getting it because it's just credentials.
It's like high school guidance counselors.
Or not even. Like, you can't bill insurance. It's just being like, hey, I'm on my way.
Speaking of insurance, just really quickly, this episode's a little different, y'all. So we are going to be listening to your voicemails, your blind voicemails. We have not listened to them. I haven't listened to them. You haven't listened to them. And hopefully we're going to change some lives today. Maybe even save some lives as well.
I'm all about saving lives.
Well, I mean, yeah, maybe not. Let me manage expectations a bit because I'm also weighing in. I'm also giving my 2 cents, and I'm not licensed.
But you can still save lives. Friends save lives.
God. You're right.
My friend saved my life.
But yeah. But before we get into that, we usually have a roast segment. I'm going to just say this, all right? I don't feel that therapist, a licensed therapist, is a job that you can be bad at. Like, yes, I'm fully aware that there's bad therapists.
Okay.
I've had them. I paid them real dollars.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't, when I first started getting into therapy and I started realizing that, like, oh, this is a job that you can, like, not be the best at, it kind of gagged me because it doesn't seem like it would be one of the, like a doctor.
Yeah.
Like, you don't seem like you would be, like, bad doctors feel illegal to have.
Yeah.
Less of a roast and more of just, like, my little 2 cents. If you're going to be mid on the clock and you're a doctor, you're a therapist, pick another job. What's another job you can be mid at? A cop. If you wanted to do that, if you wanted to make straight C's and D pluses in high school, no shade to the good cops out there. There are other trades that you could go into. But being a bad therapist is fucking crazy. There's this one therapist that I had, and I swear every time we would meet, it just felt like she was getting the tea like on my life, and I was like, help me. but she wasn't helping me.
See me.
Yeah. I don't know what the signs are. Maybe you can tell me what the signs are if you're not a great therapist. I don't know how you would know that yourself. Yeah. What are the signs? If people will leave you and want to break up with you constantly? Because I'd be breaking up with them.
Okay.
To the curb.
So I think I'm going to answer this from a perspective of I'm a fucking amazing therapist.
You are.
I feel as if when I took a break, I guess a little sabbatical, me and my clients were like crying. I was like, I'm going to miss you. And then when I came back, I literally just emailed all my old clients. They were like, bitch, we've been waiting. I'm ready to get started.
Waiting for you at the door.
Yes. I tried other therapists and all I could do is compare them to you.
You said can't relate. You said they were waiting on me to get that text, that WYD.
But I'm going to maybe speak from a point of when I felt as if I wasn't doing the best that I could to help clients. And in that perspective, I think I just recognize it usually has to do with it's something that I haven't worked with before. Like, I don't usually, my specialty isn't substance abuse. So if any of that starts coming up, I always let the client know I can refer you out for this and I can stay with you for the other stuff if you would like. But, you know, paying for 2 therapists, some people are like, nah, bitch, either you or somebody else. Couples.
Ooh.
Couples. It's
Isn't that like a whole separate? Isn't that like a separate genre of therapy?
LMFT, so licensed marriage family therapists usually.
God bless y'all.
One person. I'm good with one person.
Okay.
And so when I think about in those moments, it's usually I don't know what to do. That's when I feel I'm not being the best therapist that I can be if I feel as if I don't know what to do. And if when I walk away from the session and I'm conceptualizing it, processing it, doing my notes, and I'm just like, client process their pain. Yeah, that's good. So in those cases, I recognize it's out of my scope of practice. And ethically, you have to refer out because you can do more harm than good. Ethically.
Okay.
Ethically. People can sue you for that shit.
So to the trash ass therapists that are in the audience tonight,
yes,
don't get sued.
Don't get sued.
Look at your notes. Listen to my girl Sean.
Yeah.
Because I might be coming for you.
Yeah.
I might. And I'm not even a complicated order.
No, you're not.
I got a little bit of abandonment issues, a little bit of some hyper independence, but for the most part, easy. I'm light work.
Yeah.
For a therapist. So if you can't do me, girl, there's some learnings that need to be had. Is it rude to eat in therapy? Because I've had a snack.
Oh, for you?
Yeah.
Oh, hell no.
Okay.
Yeah. I've eaten too. I'm not going to lie. But I have eaten before. And usually I will ask the client, hey, I'm just letting you know, it probably take me like the first 5 minutes while you talk and sort of catch me up. Do you mind if I eat? I'll turn off my mic so you can't hear the sounds because some people are sensitive to hearing, mouths open. And if a client's like, no, I really would prefer, I'm like, that's cool. That's cool. Because it models them being assertive to me in a power dynamic. So I'm all about modeling and creating real life situations that allow a client to really practice. And sometimes like they'll be like, yeah, go ahead. And I'll be like, your face says something different. I want you to know it's okay to tell me no. Please tell me no. Or some clients are like, yeah, cool, go ahead. And I'm like, okay, cool. But now coming back to therapy, I don't eat anymore because I just feel like I want to give you that time. And so I'm going to make sure my schedule allows for me to eat. So I learned.
Imagining. This isn't funny.
Why not?
I'm just like thinking of like me telling a story, like a traumatic story from my childhood, and you have like Caesar salad dressing in the corners of your mouth from a wrap. All right, y'all. So if you want to follow Shani, her information is going to be in the description box. But we're about to give y'all some free ass therapy right now.
Let's go.
By listening to some of your voicemails. Pick a number 1 through 8.
7.
Okay, here we go.
Hey Jade, congrats on season 3. I am a Black transgender expansive person calling in from the ancestral lands of the Cherokee and Muskogee Creek peoples, formerly known as Atlanta, Georgia. And I am moving through a recent breakup that I initiated for a lot of reasons, but mainly because I once again found myself in a romantic relationship where I was playing more of a parental role than a romantic partner. So like, just having done a lot more like self-work and building my emotional intelligence and having stronger boundaries and one-on-one therapy has helped me realize that this pattern is definitely connected to being the oldest child and how feeling needed by a partner boosts my ego and makes me feel valuable and blah, blah, blah. I'm just really over it, and I want to break this pattern real bad. So I'm curious if you and the licensed therapist know any, like, red flags that I can look out for in others or even in myself whenever I'm ready to start dating again, because I feel like it always starts off feeling like we're equally yoked, and then the shit goes left. So, yeah, any red flags I should look out for in others or myself. Thank you.
I feel like I need a piece of paper. I didn't even realize that because usually I
want your phone?
Let me, yeah. There are so many things I don't want to leave, and usually when I'm in therapy, I'm writing down key points. So I'm just like, oh, abandonment, older child, trans, so many things coming up. But yes, you go ahead while I.
So from just like, a lover girl ass bitch type of perspective I can give you, I am the same. Less of parental and more so caretaker.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a therapist tell me once that I can let people lead. So it might be this thing, because you said that, when you first meet someone, everything feels very equal. And then at some point the scales tip. And I think that maybe you need to specifically seek out people who are exhibiting, the characteristics that you particularly need. And I think that at the beginning, a lot of people are going to seem pretty good. Like a lot of people are going to kind of put their best foot forward. And maybe it's like a very specific conversation that you need to have with them around like how, like, what is the role that you like to play in your relationships? Like, what is enjoyable for you? Because I found that, like, while yes, there are people who are willing to step up and do whatever work so that you feel seen and that you can kind of take your parental hat off, I find that you're just more compatible with people who enjoy it. It's different when you're working for it versus like you just naturally kind of like orienting into the space. So that's like the first thing. And then the second thing, do less. Do less at the beginning. If you find yourself in this parental role and you're taking care of things, just see what they do when you do nothing. And if they don't do anything, if they are waiting for you to do something, then maybe that is your cue. Like, yes, there's conversations that can be had and like things that can be worked through, but maybe that's your cue on, okay, I don't know if this person is like the best. Because no shade, like, yes, we're dating, yes, we're communicating, but at the end of the day, you're not at the part where you're doing a lot of work yet. And I just feel like you shouldn't be doing all of this work at the beginning to create a sense of compatibility.
That felt good. Our brains want to know what's going to go wrong. So this might sound weird to say, but I don't really want to give you red flags to look for, because then you're going to look for those things. And there's something called the self-confirmation bias, where if we sort of say, for instance, if we're like, hey, we know this is a red flag, and then we see it, we confirm, yep, that's a red flag. That's why I shouldn't be with that person. But we all come with red flags. We all have them. Some are worse, but we all have them.
For some of y'all.
Yes. I think the work that I would recommend for this person specifically is, they mentioned abandonment, and I'm wondering how that plays into relationships for them. And what is it that they are looking for in a partner? And when they set boundaries, what does it look like? Because is it a rule or a boundary? Is it like, hey, don't talk to me like that? But when someone talks to you like that, you kind of keep interacting, versus, hey, don't talk to me like that. Because when you talk to me like that, what's going to happen is I'm going to walk away. Like letting them know what happens when they cross your boundary. And then the thing is being consistent and responding that way when someone crosses your boundary. But I would probably say, go with you saying do less, but also asking for your needs to be met. Someone that has been parentified, hyper independent, can do things on their own. Also, abandonment. So I need to depend on myself. It can be really challenging to ask your partner or someone that you're dating, I know you want to go out tonight. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I want to stay in. What do you think about cooking? Like, I mean, not us, you. What do you think about you making the meal? And really being able to sit in allowing someone else to help you in life.
Yes.
And that's what feels uncomfortable.
Yeah. And I would also, I don't remember if you said transmasculine or not, but in dating and occupying a more like masculine role or identity, it's really easy to like fall back into those habits of like taking care of a person because it's attractive. It's attractive to, you know, to be the person that allows someone to turn their brain off, you know?
Yes.
Or to lead, you know, with the date, to pay for things, whatever. And I think that if it's that important to you, like whatever it looks like, I'm just naming off random things that happen in dating. Have a conversation. Like I would ask, like when I was dating, I asked, I was like, hey, like what does being treated well look like to you? What does good treatment look like? What is, you know, the type of like dynamic that makes you happy? Because I think that while doing the work is important on yourself, it's also much easier. I don't want to use the word easy because that feels like a loaded word, but it's a smoother process when you're doing that work with someone who you're compatible with too.
I also think it's important to remember we've been told this lie that relationships should always be 50-50, and that is a lie. We have to be open to sometimes the relationship might be 80-20. Sometimes it might be flip the reverse, you know, 20-80. and being okay to go with that transition, but just making sure that it feels for you as if you're not always at 80 and they're always at 20.
Yeah.
And what that looks like to have that reversed.
Agreed.
Hi, Jade, and whoever the guest on the podcast is.
Sean.
Jade, you are the coolest nigga bitch that
What did you call
I
me?
love to see anytime a notification from YouTube comes up and it has your name in it.
Okay.
I am a black trans girl. My name is Nova, by the way. I'm 19 years old, and I just got out of a 10-month relationship with my ex-girlfriend. And what I wanted advice on is just how to step into my power. Like, I know that what is around the corner are only good things.
Period.
And I know that it's really only upwards from here. And now I know what I want, and I'm driven to go get it. However, the thing, like, my sister is telling me that I'm a boss lady. And honestly, it don't even resonate with me because I'm a lover girl. I'm a softie. I'm sensitive as shit. I don't claim to be strong because I know that that is a tagline that they put on black women and femmes, and it's just not in me. I have my off days. I have my days where I don't feel good about myself, and I allow space for my humanness. And I know that that's strength. But anyways, I just want advice on how to know that I am truly the coldest, like, iceberg level, freezing cold, coldest bitch in the room whenever I walk into it. And as I'm allowing space for my success in my career and in my life. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. Love you. Bye.
How to step into your power and be the coldest bitch in the room.
I'm not gonna lie. At first, when I heard that, I thought they wanted to be like
Anemic.
like just like cold, like closed off. I want to be cold. That's how I heard it at first.
Therapist brain.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
You're like, no, open up. How's your heart?
I was like, oh, okay. You just said you were a softie, and now you want to be the coldest bitch in the room. Okay. First off, I was like, you're 19. You don't have to do all that right now. Allow yourself to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Bigger lessons are learned when you fail. And allow yourself to truly embrace living your life. It sounds as if the person knows who they are at their core. And not to like push their dreams down, but life's gonna throw some shit at you. And I love the positivity, the optimism, but like I feel as if stepping into your power, you have so much time to do that. And I am curious, they didn't say, but I would love to know more about after a 10-month relationship, why did that end and how that, because they said that. So I'm always thinking, why did you say that? What does that have to do with the question that you're asking and how you want to heal? But it sounds like it has something to do with that. And I just keep, you're so young.
Yeah.
You don't have to step into your power. And I love that they are already pushing back on, nope, don't want to be boss lady. Nope, don't put strength on me. I'm soft. I want to cry. And so I think it's more so allowing who you are to develop and also being open to the transitions that are going to come into your life that may change your sense of self.
Yes.
Because your sense of self at 19, your core is going to always be there, but there are going to be some life experiences that are going to shake up how you view about yourself and being open to what that looks like.
And that relationship could have been one of the first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I would also say being aware of cognitive dissonance. So essentially that is, you could think something and the behavior is different. So let's say if you're someone that smokes a cigarette and you're like, I know this is bad for me, but you're smoking the cigarette that's cognitive dissonance. The behavior doesn't match what you think. And so I want this person to be aware of all of these things that they're thinking about themselves at the core. But as life is happening, their actions might not meet that. And that can cause like internal conflict because of that cognitive dissonance. And just knowing you are living life and being okay with what comes with living life. But I also don't want to be like, you're so young, because I feel like they probably heard that. And it sounds like they're a mature soul.
I mean, to be an out trans woman, Black,
Yes.
you got to know who you are a little
Yes.
bit, you know, to have that walk. And on that, I think that part of you claiming or like being in your power is also not thinking too much about it. Like performance, for example. I would perform a lot, you know, kind of like turn it on, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I don't mean necessarily like in a situation like this where there's cameras in front of my face, but just like when I meet a new person, if I'm networking, you know, I just give them the little Jade razzle dazzle.
Yeah.
And I noticed that a lot more doors opened up for me and life got easier and more love started to flow freely once I stopped doing that because it's in you already.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have to activate it, it's there. And I think when it comes to like stepping in your power is knowing that you can relax and you still have it. Like it's not something that you have to like acknowledge to hold.
Yeah.
And I also don't want to be like, oh, you're so young. But at the same time, it's not to dismiss what you're saying. It's more so to hopefully like broaden your perspective of like, you're going to be a million different people in your life. It's like who you are right now is going to be completely different than who you are even 2, 3, 4. Because your 20s are such a transformative time because you're such a sorry, I think everyone should go through a dumb bitch phase. Like, you just do. You got to be a dumb bitch for a little bit. Like, whether it be behind a nigga, like, whether it be behind a job, of friends, like, because I think that when you get put through the pits of hell, and I'm not wishing this upon you, friend, but I do think that when you go through things, you learn more about yourself when you pull yourself out of them.
Yeah.
That's when you, like, get to know what your strengths are. And it's not the experiences themselves that form your opinion of yourself. It's who you choose to be afterward. You are at the precipice, baby. Like there's so much ahead of you. You don't even know if you're going to move, you know, like you never know who you're going to meet. Like there's just so much. And as you said, you're already optimistic about whatever is ahead for you. And so I would just like welcome it with open arms, understand that it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to have your mind change. It's okay to be a different person yesterday or tomorrow than who you are yesterday, and that you don't have to prove, like you don't have to prove your power or prove, you know, who you are to people. You just are who you are, and it's either people accept it or not. And that includes you. Like either you accept yourself or you don't. And that's it.
I think too, it's also about building resilience. And sometimes I feel that when people are very optimistic and they're just like, oh, yes. When something comes along and knocks them off of that, it can feel very unsteady. And I feel like that's how sometimes people can fall into anxiety and depression. Because now, if you have this optimistic point of view of life, always being positive, I'm not saying that, again, this is coming from just like a minute voice note. I'm not saying that you are this person, but when life then happens, the realism that you're trying to grapple with doesn't necessarily match the optimism anymore. And so when you're there, then it's like, well, what do I do if I don't have my positivity and optimism? And how do I come out of this? And that can be the challenging part. But if you sort of go into it with like, yes, I know I have these strengths about myself, but I'm also looking to find, what are my weaknesses?
Yeah.
What will this look like when I sort of come out of it? And like Jade said, treat your 20s like I can fuck up.
Yeah.
I can fuck up.
It's going to happen whether you want it to or not. Like, you might as well just embrace it.
I love it when clients fuck up because I feel there's so much meat in the fuck up. Let's learn from it. And sometimes you don't want to learn from it. Sometimes you're like, yeah, that happened. I don't want to do it again. There's no lesson. And that's okay too.
Yeah.
Because I also want to be mindful of there doesn't need to be a lesson in everything.
For sure.
Sometimes it's just like, nah, don't want to do it again. And keep it pushing.
Hi, my name is Dominique Moss, and I am from Ohio. And the question that I wanted to ask is, what are some general tips that you have for someone who struggles with communication and vulnerability? Whenever I want to be vulnerable or when I want to just communicate my thoughts and feelings, I experience a lot of anxiety and a lot of physical symptoms like clamming up, freezing, shutting down, which are obviously not healthy long term. So what are some general tips that you could give for someone who struggles with this? Thank you.
Not you smiling.
This is my shit.
Go ahead. Go off.
I was like, yeah, this is it. I love this. So I think the first thing is we don't want to be vulnerable and communicate for the sake of doing it.
Talk about it.
You have to be able to know what's going to be a safe space for that, right?
Yes.
That's
and not
first
everyone
thing.
is that.
Not everyone is that. The second thing is I'm going to offer meditation. I know that sounds like, oh my God, here we go. But the reason for that is because a lot of the symptoms that the person was describing sound very much like they might be out of their window of tolerance when they want to be vulnerable. And so when you are outside of your window of tolerance, you struggle in processing like information if someone's going to give you feedback. I would do this, or even as listening, because you're outside of your window of tolerance. So I would recommend if you're going to talk to someone, one, you know, hey, this person is safe for me, and they have my best interests at heart. Because let's be honest, there are some people that you may feel, oh, they give good advice, but is the advice coming from a place where you feel they are thinking about what happens to me when they give me that advice? And so knowing that it's a safe space with that person, and then before going into the conversation, you know, breathing and really just relaxing your body, relaxing your nervous system. And also, if the person is a safe space, you'd be able to say, hey, I'm just letting you know, there's some things I want to talk about here that is really hard. I'm feeling very nervous. And I just want you to listen first.
Yeah.
Don't give me any feedback. I just want you to listen, because there's so much power in someone just hearing and seeing you. And I know with friends, majority of the time we want to say like, hey, what would you do in this situation? But because anxiety happens before you're being vulnerable, I would ask the people that you're communicating with, can you just listen to me? To allow you to sort of sit in your body and breathe and communicate with them. And also too, sometimes it's good if you write it out before you talk about it, because I'm guilty of it. It takes me like 5 minutes to get to a point because I'm trying to fill the person out. I'm trying to drop little gems.
You doing that with me?
No.
Okay. Wait. Sorry, I didn't mean to make this about me. But go ahead.
No. We'll talk about it later. I feel like I do. I think let's talk about it later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not that you're not a safe space. It's just like, because it's something that I'm uncomfortable talking about, I try to talk around it and try to see the person's reaction as I'm like mentioning words. My stuff is like the blackness stuff. And so like when I say things, I'm just kind of like watching, okay, how do they respond in? You know, what's their body language like? And so that's the thing. And then so writing it out and being okay with, you can read from, you know, whatever it is. And sometimes it's okay to also ask the person, hey, afterwards, like, can we just take a moment to breathe? Because sometimes talking about what it is that you're struggling with, again, activates the nervous system, now your body. So I want you to think about being grounded. So when you talk, communicate, you know, feet on the floor, you know, you can have something that's like textured. You want to think about like grounding yourself And then the other thing that I would say is when it comes to communication, I statements. I feel this way. I recognize that when I communicate with you, you walk out of the room. I statements are so important when you're communicating your feelings because it is you, your perspective.
Yeah.
And then the last thing is you are not responsible for people's reactions to how you feel. That is other people's stuff. Like I get that, you know, you might have a partner or something like that, but when you're communicating and you're learning that, recognizing that you're not responsible. If someone's like, "Oh my God, I would never do that," that's not you. That's them.
I have a similar problem.
Okay.
And the ways that I've worked through them are, well, number one, I'll write letters. Like sometimes it's just better for me to write a letter in a judgment-free page and then give it to the person or just read it and then just allow them to respond. So that's one thing that I've done in the past because like I'm someone who like I'll in the trying to get to the point, I'll go off on a tangent and then the thing that I end up saying isn't even the thing that I like meant to say. And so I'm having this conversation that I wasn't even trying to have for real. So the letters keep me on track. Number two, I ask myself, what do I want out of this conversation? Yeah. Because that will sometimes guide whether or not I need to have it. Like some feelings I've learned just in my adulthood, like I don't need to share, or like some processes, like I will just have them on my own. And they're not necessarily something that I'm going to feel supported in by sharing it with a person. And so like, I know that these are very much not talky communication like methods, but I also think that creating a non-judgmental space for my emotions in myself was the first step for me. Because oftentimes I would judge myself by having the feelings that I had. And then I'd be like, girl, get over that shit. And then I wouldn't communicate them at all. I'm a type of person where it's like, I have a feeling and then I feel like I need to solve it. And
Same.
not every feeling needs like an action attached to it. And sometimes the action that's attached to it, like, isn't a conversation. So that's like my little 2 cents. But I'm still working through the communicating my feelings because I don't feel like I fully understand them. I feel them, but I don't know what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
For me to even like tell you what I'm feeling.
I don't want this to be like a promotional thing, but I personally love Brene Brown. There's a book that she has called Heart of the Atlas, which basically is her research around emotions because people do struggle in communicating because they don't have the language.
Yeah.
So take, for instance, if something happened to you, say, when you were 2 years old, and then you go to therapy about it, and you're struggling trying to, I just can't find the words or the feelings. It's because when it happened to you, you didn't have the language for it. And so sometimes when people are trying to learn how to communicate, what I will do, I love a good emotional wheel.
Oil?
Yeah. Where you sort of start with, hey, I'm feeling this way. And then it sort of gets more specific. So an emotional, I keep one on my phone for myself. And I use it with clients because in trying to communicate, sometimes the struggle is I don't have the language to tell you what I'm feeling right now.
Yes.
But if you don't have the language, a great place is to say what it feels like inside your body. So let's say if you're going in, let's say someone upset you, but you're like, I'm not angry. I'm not flushed. Like you could go into that conversation being, I feel whenever we have a conversation in my chest, it gets real tight and then I get tense. That's how I feel when we're talking about this topic. And I just want to sort of like talk to you about that. So you can always back up and just say, what's happening in your body?
Yeah.
Again, safe place though.
Yes.
Making sure it's with a safe place.
So I also asked on my Instagram, for those of you that are shy guys, don't want to send a voicemail, you could text us and ask your question. And this person says, how do you approach women as a mask who struggles with social anxiety? So I'm gonna let you take over the social anxiety, just like
Okay.
approaching people with social anxiety. What are
Yeah.
some ways that people can kind of like work through that? The thing about the mask part is that it doesn't change anything. Like whether you're mask, femme, otherwise, somebody got to say hello. Somebody got to buy the vodka soda. You know what I'm saying? It's either gonna be me or the bitch in the boxer briefs. And I try not to feed personally too much into the mask of it all because no shade, I'm not trying to pull the wool over your eyes, baby. Like it doesn't make any sense for me to be like, hey girl, I'm Mask. This is my bandana. Wanna buy a drink? I wanna buy you a skirt. Like that doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? If you are someone who is attracted to women and even mask women or trans mask folks have pretty smiles, have great sense of humor, and it doesn't have to be like your approach doesn't have to be masculine. You know what I mean? Like your approach can just be curiosity and interest. And so I would say just lead with those things because at the end of the day, if you bald headed, tatted up in a tank top, you got the look and you don't have to like assign a personality to it. Like you can just be who you are. Like you can be who you are and just say hello. And honestly, I think because approaching people is such a thing that sometimes regardless of what you say, the fact that you approach somebody and you open your mouth to say something, period, does enough for somebody. For someone to, because usually it catches people off guard most of the time. If the person that you're attracted to in that space is an attractive person, there's a good chance they probably don't get approached as much as you think that they do. And so it's a lot more endearing to just walk up and say, hi, I saw you when you came in. I'm not trying to take up too much of your time, but want to buy you a drink. I think you're really beautiful. Whatever, you know, like whatever you want to say. So I would be less particular about the words. You can also follow me on TikTok because I have a whole series about this. I'm not trying to you know, like give y'all all my secrets on this one platform right here on this one program because you can go to my TikTok. Yeah, I wouldn't let the maskness of your personality or not of your identity drive so much of your approach if that's not who you are. If you are a more dominant masculine person, you're probably going to do that anyway, but at the very least just like don't do it corny. Like I've seen that a lot. That's happened to me. I was at a bar and this white mask person came up to me and just started trying to take care of me. It was very uncomfortable. I ordered a whatever drink and they were like, you should drink water. And I was like, okay, doctor. Okay. And like for like the next 10 to 15 minutes, they were just like, you know, make sure you have water. Do you know how you're going to get home? And I noticed it's like a mask thing to do. It's just like, I don't need a babysitter. I'm so grown, but thank you.
I think my brain went to like, do you want me to drink water because that's free?
I think just like maskies, that's just very much like, don't lift a finger. I got you, babe. Put your wallet away. I got it, Buki. Very that.
I don't know what it is about Buki.
You don't like that? I'll be saying it.
But I did get a little turned on when you're like tatted up. And oh, okay. Anyways, this is not what we're here for. Okay, so the social anxiety part. My question goes to what has rejection been like for you? And
You
what
get into the root of things.
that literally is what I'm asking is what has rejection been like for you that has created a sense of worry or fear around being able to approach women. And I think the first thing that I would want to work on and explore would be being okay with rejection.
Yeah.
Like, and not taking it personal.
Yes.
You know? Just because someone says no, I always like to think about what you've told me. Rejection is protection. And you might not know, but be okay with it.
God knows.
Yes. Be okay with it. So that would be the first thing. And then also it's okay to be like, hey, you know, I saw you from across the room. I'm really nervous.
Yes.
State
Yes.
what it is that is happening, right? Be okay with that. And I think that that's the first part of allowing someone to see you, and in a very sort of safe way, because even if the person rolls their eyes, that goes back to the first thing I said, being okay with rejection. I think the other thing would be you get better at something the more that you do it.
Yes.
And you can do hard things. And sometimes the fear or the worry comes from not having the experience of it. So the more that you do it, the more that you get used to rejection, or you never know, you might do it and that's your fucking wife for life.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's a word.
Period.
And that's okay. Either way. But you just got to do it. Don't overthink it. Just go into it and do it. And like you said, most people, I think, assume, oh, this person's really pretty. They've probably been approached a lot. They turn people down. And if they do, then maybe that's not the person for you. Maybe you don't want to be with someone who often gets approached.
Yeah. Like a rejection doesn't have to just stay a
Yeah.
rejection. You know, like there's this, when I was being coached in stand up, there was, you know, this tip that I got around like, if you're giving jokes or delivering jokes and they're not landing and no one's laughing, you still have to work at it. You still have to get to the laugh.
Yes.
And so it's like, you could walk off stage at that point and be like, okay, well, I guess I'm not funny.
Yeah.
Or you can keep going until you get a laugh, because now you
Yes.
can say that you're funny, right?
Yeah.
Or you made the people laugh. And so it's like, when it comes to rejection, it's like, it doesn't have to be this big, sad, or like disappointing thing. It's just like, you're not taking it personally. You know, it's like, okay, well, that happened. All right, well, have a good night. I'm about to take this shot. You want to take, I mean, obviously, you know, read the room. Read the room. If the person seems uncomfortable or whatever, you know, obviously like walk away. Walk away. But yeah, I think that like rejection, it shouldn't stop you from things at all. And it also doesn't define you. Don't let your rejections define you. Don't
internalize it.
I've been rejected a lot, and I still think I'm very desirable. I've been rejected so much, guys. I really don't think you understand how much I've been rejected in my life. But because of that, I don't care anymore when it happens.
Yeah.
I preach rejection as protection because I genuinely feel like that. Like, I've been rejected so much, and I've had great relationships, great sex, and a great life with all those rejections.
Yeah.
Sexual incompatibility, they put libido in parentheses. Sexual incompatibility in a 4-year relationship. Tips?
So I first want to start off by saying, like, sex therapy, that's not my scope of practice. So I'm coming from a place of, the libido in parentheses, I'm wondering, I need
Maybe
more.
Like, maybe they think that that's like the culprit of just like low libido.
Okay.
I don't know if it's for them or the other
Yeah,
person,
that's
though.
what I'm, this is so open-ended. I'm just like, okay.
That's
So the first thing is we have to be okay talking about it with our partners. And I think that when you get into a partnership, this goes back to communication, being able to say, I don't feel desired, or I don't feel we have enough sex, or I don't, you know, going back to I statements. And this might sound tough, but sometimes people are just sexually incompatible. And there's
that's just how the cookie crumbles.
that's just how the cookie crumbles.
The cookie ain't getting eaten.
I like, oh, sorry. Yeah. That's radical acceptance of, okay, this person has a high libido and I don't. But here's the other thing. Okay. This is coming from a book that I read called Come As You Are. And
Wait, did they mean that?
the book Come As You Are. Yeah.
So they're in on the joke. Come as you are.
Oh, no, it's come like COME.
Okay.
But I think I get what you're saying. I'm
'Cause
bad
that's-
with jokes.
It was the nature of the segue. It made me
Yeah,
feel-
yeah. Come
Okay.
as you are. But yes, I get what you're saying now. Okay. Sometimes people don't recognize what turns them on. And some people can't. There are some people out there that can just be like, let's have sex. And they're like, yeah, I'm ready to go. Let's do it. Eat the cookie. Whereas some people need to be warmed up.
Yeah.
Some people, it's throughout the day, you know, the little touch on the back.
You
bought
gotta warm
me
up
fun-
the car before you drive it in the
Yes.
snow.
And sometimes when the libidos aren't matching, asking them, like, what turns you on? What gets you in the mood? But again, it's also going back to sometimes you're just not compatible and being able to accept that. But I would recommend sex therapy in that way because sometimes you don't know if it's a medical thing. And you might need to get tests run, like on your thyroid, things like that, that may be impacting your body. I feel like a lot of people don't think to go to, hey, let me get some lab work done to just make sure everything medically is sound. And it's this is just always how I've been, you know? I've just never really, I've always had a high libido or I've always had a low libido. And sometimes I always say, you know, let's go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Let's get some labs. Let's get some data. And that may be recommended. And then also, too, when the libidos don't match up, the last thing is sometimes you have to work on the intimacy that isn't physical and building from there. So it might be laying in bed and talking, or you can kind of start with like just touching the body. No sex, no sex, but just like, how does that feel? And having conversation and connecting.
2 things.
Okay.
Breaking up is always an option.
I'm
not saying that you
I love
shouldn't-
it, though.
I'm not saying you shouldn't work through things. I'm just saying
Yes.
that incompatibility is incompatibility.
Yes.
When you've gotten to that radical acceptance and say the options that are in front of you, opening up the relationship, adding someone, whatever, maybe those things, you're not comfortable with those things.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay to have this issue and also not love any of the proposed solutions to the issue.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, I feel like a relationship is supposed to feel expansive. It's supposed to like take your individual life and make it feel bigger or make it feel more beautiful. You know what I mean? And if your relationship is minimizing this part of you, or, you know, like it's just, and it hasn't been that way. You said 4 years. Like, I don't know if it's been that consistent 4 years.
Yeah.
You know, off and on. I don't know. I feel like you deserve that.
Yes.
And so does your partner.
yeah.
Because like you're probably not the only person feeling these things.
Yep.
But like I said, obviously we need more information. But so breaking up is always an option, and it's not a selfish decision. It's as selfish as getting into a relationship. Like I don't see breaking up over this as like, I don't think it's like superficial. You know what I mean? Especially if it's something that you've worked at for a few years.
So 2 things that I would add. We in society are so used to needing to have almost like a very defining moment to break up with someone. And I don't think that people take a step back to sort of recognize the human that you're in a partnership with.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is nice to walk away from something and not hate the person that you fell in love with, because at one point you really did like this person. And so sometimes I like to encourage clients to think about that. Like, are you at a point where walking away isn't going to change your viewpoint of that person before it gets to resentment? And the other thing is, you said 4 years. There's a lot that can happen in 4 years. So I'm very curious about how sex was in the beginning, and also context based, right? So when you start dating someone, you still have the butterflies and all of the things, the lust and all of those. But then when you start getting into the day-to-day things, paying bills together, I don't know if you have kids, jobs, that can lower someone's libido. Stress, people, I feel, sometimes don't understand the impact that stress can have on someone. And so maybe having a conversation of, if it hasn't always been that way, what do you think are factors around it that are creating this? And what can we do? Because when you're in a partnership, I always like to, if I'm working with someone and I have their partner come in on a session, I like to say, let's look at this session as us against the problem. So if you look at it as us against not having sex, you feel partnered in trying to solve it, versus it's me against you. You have low libido, I have high libido.
Yeah.
But if we sort of put libido over there and it's us conquering it,
Yeah. You might need to just be different. Like, some problems require you to be different, think differently, approach it differently than you have with other things. What to do in a WLW of 8 years, and my girlfriend hasn't had sex with me in 4. She won't even talk about it. Baby, if you're not going to open your mouth for this, you better open your mouth to talk. Like I said, why are y'all acting like breaking up isn't an option? It's right there. This isn't even about the sex part. This is the not talking about it for 4 years part. That's nuts.
People are very afraid of being alone. We live in a society now where a lot of people feel frustrated in dating, that being frustrated in a relationship feels better.
Mm-hmm.
But 4 years...
And won't even talk about it.
And won't even talk about it. My first question is, did something happen?
Between them versus the one
Just
who
in
won't talk about
general,
it?
between them, on the outside,
Mm-hmm.
that it changed
Mm-hmm.
for 4 years and won't talk about it? Because in that statement, I hear, can she talk about it? Or I guess I don't know if she... oh, WLW.
WLW, yeah.
Yes. Can she talk about it? Is it something... Because if she can't talk about it, I hear her body maybe can't handle talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about the relationship that is keeping you there? And also checking in with what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of in the options that you have? Because the person doesn't want to talk about it. You can't make somebody talk.
Yeah.
You just can't. And I have a lot of questions about the person that's staying in that situation, or for the person that's staying in that situation, of what is it about yourself that maybe you feel this is the only option. And so you've been in this for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I have questions around confidence, self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I have to be with you on this one, Jade, of breaking up can be an option. There also is nuance in the middle of, have y'all tried, hey, maybe we should go talk to a therapist together.
Mm.
Or you talking to a therapist, the person, the one that's like, yeah, she won't even talk about it. Mm-hmm. The thing is too, sex for some people is a need.
Yeah.
And also the last thing that I'll add is people can change. So outside of maybe something happening, I'm also wondering, oh, maybe did she discover she's asexual?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just something there's so many questions.
I have a friend who is non-binary and who was married to a trans woman. But when they got married, they were both identifying as gay men.
Okay.
And so through their marriage, they come to learn who they are.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I remember when me and this friends first started talking, they were just always like, yeah, my fiance, like, issues with sex, like, doesn't really seem like, they're into it, da-da-da.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, that's crazy. So fast forward a few years, this person comes out as a trans woman, which is probably not the only thing, but probably a big reason why the sex was probably triggering as fuck. You know what I mean? And so to your point, yeah, there could have been a shift. There could have been a change. But I'm not going to lie, and I hope this doesn't, like, make me sound selfish, but the way I heard that is, why don't you care to listen to me?
Yeah.
Like, why don't you care to even talk about it? Like, talking about it is, like, step one.
Yes.
That is, like, ground floor, bare minimum that I won't say bare minimum because I know that it's hard for people.
Yeah.
But, like, this is the one free thing that we can do, other than the actual sex itself.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if you're not even willing to talk to me about this, that means that you're not willing to hear how I feel about it. You're not willing to, like, process how I feel about this. You're not willing to acknowledge this thing that's in our relationship that I have big feelings on, that you also have big feelings on. You're just not telling me. Mm-hmm. And it feels like we're neglecting this piece of us on purpose. And so I would be hurt by that alone. Like, at that point, the lack of sex that's not even the thing that I care about anymore. It's the, why are we abandoning us? behind your comfort, I guess, behind, non-communication.
And that would be a great conversation to have too, is, hey, I recognize this is challenging to talk about. Can we talk about why it's challenging to talk about?
Yeah.
And having that conversation. But I think people also just don't realize sometimes people don't want to talk. Sometimes people don't want to do the work that is required in a relationship. And for the person that is like, hey, like this is happening, it's important to recognize you have. I just love this quote so much. When people show you who they are, believe them.
So we hope that helps.
Yeah.
Hope that your lives got turned on. Send in voicemails of updates. If you've taken any of these pieces of advice, let us know. I would love to hear. Ooh, if y'all broke up, tell me about it. I love a good breakup.
Yeah. How'd it
Not
go?
for me. Mindy, relax. Like, because she gonna watch this and be like, on my phone. Love you. But the rest of y'all, yeah, break up. Thanks for coming on, Shani.
Thank you for having me.
Yay. Make sure that you follow Shani, all of her Instagram, her TikTok, YouTube. It's going to be in the description. Free game over there happening always. Also, she'll be talking about her kids and like random white teachers doing craziness.
Listen,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Bye.